It's time to lock in. We're talking SEC, college football, and more. This is AP as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama. This is AP as we see it, a weekly syndicated show discussing the Southeastern Conference, college football on the national scene, and other sports. Welcome to another episode of AP as we see it. And we'd like to direct our audience to our YouTube channel at AP as we see it, and we usually put that on site every Thursday, and it also is sent to radio stations throughout the Southeast, so you can check your local listings, and it's played on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We also like to make you aware of our social media platforms at AP as we see it, and at my personal one at AP Stedham. That's Facebook, Instagram, X accounts, and we have the archived audio on Spotify as well. That'll be up on Thursday normally. So you can check the former episodes on our YouTube channel at AP as we see it, and also on the Spotify channel at AP as we see it as well. So we like to also make mention of our sponsors. We really appreciate their support, and we ask you to patronize them as well. Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, serving the Gulf Coast and beyond for 109 years. They have Lucy's Famous Recipes, which you can find online, and she has a book to go along with that as well. You can find it online and at the different stores. Remember, family, friends, and football, that's a winning tradition at Greer's stores. You can score big savings on fresh meats, produce, and more game day spreads. They have the groceries to go that will deliver to your home, your office, or any venue. They have the apples for students. You bring those receipts and you can establish a program where your school receives the free supplies, your local schools. And so there's a bonus in November as well. So check that out at Greer's. We also have, you can check the weekly ads. They have the coloring contest for the children. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We'd also like to make mention of Dr. Jason Northcutt. Dr. Jason Northcutt, Robertsdale Dental Care at 251-947-3636. Dr. Jason Northcutt, not only are basic services offered by Dr. Jason Northcutt, but he has established a niche within the practice providing comprehensive dental implant services such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. Dr. Jason Northcutt has been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems. Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt and his staff. 251-947-3636. And we'd also like to mention the Cortland Grand Hotel, downtown Atlanta. They have the beautiful rooms, spacious rooms, the indoor pool with the serene tropic setting right in the heart of downtown Atlanta. They have the restaurants, the gift shop, outstanding buffet, and they have the lounges as well. They have the workout room. I love that pool, the indoor pool, as I mentioned, beautiful tropical setting. And the outstanding staff, Ben Giacomo and company, they'll take care of you. They have excellent hospitality, and that's my choice for hotels when I'm in the big city of Atlanta. I'll be there for the SEC championship game. So just reach out to the Cortland Grand Hotel, and Ben Giacomo and staff will take care of you. We'd like to mention our guests that we're going to have for the show, segment 2 and 3. We have Tony Simeone. He's the voice of the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish football, and he'll be segment 2. Segment 3 is DJ Jones. He's the host of the SportsVisions morning show, and DJ, a former University of Georgia. I'm glad he didn't hear me say this. University of Georgia defensive back, started out as a quarterback, played on that 1980 national championship team, 1980 to 83. So he's been following those Bulldogs for a long time, and we're going to get his thoughts and comments about the big ball game to be held in Athens, Georgia, between ranked teams Texas and Georgia. There's a lot of implications for that ball game. Texas is playing for the college football playoff life, and of course Georgia is trying to maintain their position in the college football playoff rankings. We have 8 games on tap this week, 2 teams with a bye, Auburn and Vanderbilt. But we just want, before we go into those games, we want to look at the college football playoff rankings that comes out every week. And I think things will sort themselves out. People get excited if one team moves ahead of the other. For instance, Texas Tech had a big win at home in Lubbock against BYU. That's a Big 12 conference game, and they moved ahead of Ole Miss. But I don't get too excited. I think it'll be fine when all is said and done. So let's go over that. The SEC teams that are ranked are Texas A&M is number 3, Georgia number 4. Alabama number 4, Georgia number 5, Ole Miss number 7, Texas 10, Oklahoma 11, Vanderbilt 14, and Tennessee is 23. So those are the teams from the SEC that are ranked by the College Football Playoff Committee. And right now we know that Georgia-Texas game is very important, especially for Texas. They're playing for their lives. And also the Oklahoma-Alabama game, which will be played in Tuscaloosa. So Oklahoma and Texas, 2 of the new teams within the conference, and they're playing for their college football lives. This would be Texas's 3rd year to make the playoffs, but under this 12-team situation to be their 2nd year. But Oklahoma's trying to get back to prominence in college football. They had a difficult year last year, made some changes at the quarterback position and otherwise. So they're in a good position. They're competing against Alabama, who's hot, and they're very tough at home with Ty Simpson and company. So that's a few things about the college football playoff rankings. I always like to give my Football Writers Association of America National Football Foundation Super 16 poll ranking, as we submit those every week by Sunday morning, and there's 50 plus other voters, but I always like to go over that with you as well. Ohio State, I have number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M number 3, Georgia number 4, Alabama 5. And you asked me why I have Alabama below Georgia, because I think Georgia is the better team overall at this moment, and their loss was to Alabama, and it was at home. But I think Alabama's loss against a team that got beat 5 times, Florida State, that's a bad loss from the ACC. So I have Alabama at number 5, Oregon number 6, Ole Miss number 7, Georgia Tech number 8, Notre Dame number 9, Texas Tech number 10, BYU was defeated by Texas Tech last week, number 11, Texas 12, Oklahoma 13, Vanderbilt 14, Miami 15, and USC, the Trojans, at number 16 in my poll. So that's how I feel about college football at this point. We're going to go over a couple of games. We can get that finish this first segment before we break into the second segment. The first game, South Carolina, 3-6 in the conference. 3-6 overall, 1-6 in the conference. They're playing Texas A&M, number 3, Texas A&M. The Aggies are an 18.5-point favorite. That series, Texas A&M has won 9 games, South Carolina 2. But last year, that was quite a ball game for Carolina. A&M scoring quite a few points, 37 points a game. Carolina, well, they know they struggled. They fired Mike Shula, the offensive staff, part of their staff. So they're having trouble. 127th in total offense. There's only 136 teams. They're 127th, 294 yards a game. A&M is cruising at number 17, 459 yards per game defensively. South Carolina is not bad at 47 overall. A&M is number 23. I just think that A&M is going to take care of business. They have everything that they're playing for. They're 9-0 overall, 6-0 in the conference, and they'll probably win this game. Marcel Reed, Heisman Trophy candidate. We'll discuss that later on as well, but that's game 1 on our schedule. Number 2, we're looking at Arkansas LSU. LSU is a 5.5-point favorite in Baton Rouge. Both teams interim coaches. Arkansas 0-5 in the conference, 2-7 overall. LSU is 5-4, 2-4 in the conference. That series is in favor of LSU. 43 wins to 23 losses, 2 ties. LSU only averaging 23 points a game. Arkansas 35 points a game, but 123rd in defense. LSU just has trouble with their quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. He has not had the production that was projected this year, so they're swapping out with Michael Van Buren. The interim coach, Bobby Bobby Petrino with Arkansas, interim coach with LSU, Frank Wilson, the running back coach. So Arkansas giving up over 30 points a game. LSU, pretty good defense, 19 points per game. They lost to Alabama. They played them very tough, 20-9 on the road. Arkansas had that bye. And in the former game, I just want to mention Texas A&M. They're coming off a very good win, 3-touchdown win in Columbia, Missouri against the Tigers, 38-17 over Missouri, and South Carolina had a bye. We'll just mention this other game. It's a little bit interesting. Yes, Tennessee Tech averaging 45 points a game. They're 10-0, 7-0 in their conference. I don't think they've played Kentucky. Kentucky, big game against Florida, 38-7 at home. That was the best game of the year. They're a 20-point favorite, but I'd watch out for that Tennessee Tech. They score a lot of points. I know it's not the same level of football, but Kentucky normally doesn't score a lot of points, but they had a big ball game. They won again. As I said, against the Florida Gators, who beat Texas and gave Georgia everything they wanted. But anyway, we'll come back with our next two segments. Yes, next two segments. Tony Simeone, the voice of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team, and then DJ Jones, the host of the SportsVisions morning show. And we'll be right back after these messages with AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP as we see it, in our very special guest, a friend of the show, the voice of the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish football, Tony Simeone. Welcome to AP as we see it, Tony.
Thanks for having me, AP. Really appreciate it. I know we talked about a year ago at that Shamrock Series game out in New York, and looking forward to talking really around the same time of year this time as we come down the stretch of the college football season.
Yeah, exciting action going on in South Bend. Notre Dame is fighting for a playoff position. They travel to Pittsburgh to face the Panthers. You say you've never been to Pittsburgh. I'm sure you're looking forward to that experience.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing another venue. One of the coolest things about the job I'm lucky enough to have with Notre Dame football is the fact that they play in so many cool venues. Obviously, Notre Dame Stadium's a great one, but pretty much everywhere they go is really cool. It started last year with Texas A&M. We saw Arkansas this year. Going to get a chance to go to another NFL venue here where they play against Pittsburgh with College Game Day on site. Next year, they're going to play in Lambeau Field. So I'm spoiled, obviously, as a broadcaster. And, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be the toughest test they have on this backstretch of games since the bye that came after USC. This is probably the best team that they're going to play the rest of the way. Again, doesn't mean they're going to win the last two games. You got to play them all. But if you look at the final three, this is the one. You got to get through, a true road game, which, that's daunting in college football when the other team has a lot to play for as well.
Tony, what concerns you about the Pittsburgh Panthers?
Yeah, well, the fact that they have won 5 in a row concerns me. The fact that I think it's a team, I've heard some comments this week about conferences and what their championships mean. And I think the fact that a team can maybe come out here and play fast and loose. Notre Dame always gets every team's best shot, right? And
yes,
game day there, it's a top 25 matchup. Quite frankly, Pittsburgh is, I think, one of the more explosive teams they're going to see in the second half of the season. And just playing away from home, Notre Dame's looked pretty sharp. The first game of the year against Miami, obviously they weren't up to their standard. But they haven't played an opponent this good away from home since then. And so I just want to see if the operation can travel on the road You know there's going to be great environment and great energy. So it's really about starting fast on the road is what I think you want to see. And if that doesn't happen, you let a team like Pittsburgh get belief with the crowd and with the energy with College game day there. That's what makes me worried is a possible when you look at maybe an upset. But all things considered, Notre Dame's played really well since those first 2 games. They've won 7 straight, and I think they have reason to be confident going into this game as well.
Tony, we start every evaluation with the quarterback. C.J. Carr comes from a football family. His grandfather, Lloyd Carr. How did he end up at Notre Dame and not Michigan?
It's probably a great question for his family and for Michigan, really. In listening to him talk about Notre Dame and Coach Freeman, frankly, you can just tell this is the place he's always wanted to be. Just from the moment he kind of had that idea pop into his head and got on campus and talked with the staff and really saw what Notre Dame could do for him and what the opportunities that are here. He just seems like he's always been a guy that's wanted to be at Notre Dame, and there are guys like that, and it's great to have him in South Bend. He's obviously fit in really well at the quarterback position, but you get the sense like in the locker room, he's fit in, he's leading at a high level. And I think that's what maybe excites people around the program more than anything is that you've got your quarterback from a skill set standpoint, no doubt, but from a leadership preparation standpoint, he's a guy that I think desperately wants to win, desperately wants to be the quarterback to get Notre Dame their first national championship in what's approaching almost 4 decades. I think that there's a real hunger that is, just can't necessarily be replicated in every single person, and it's authentic. And I think that Notre Dame is obviously thrilled to have their guy at quarterback, and he's been so fun to watch here in this first portion of the season.
We spoke last year, Stadium, and you told me that Jeremiah Love is a running back that might be the best in the nation this year. So I have a lot of love for him. I saw him play against Army and also had a big night against USC. He looks like he might be in that Heisman race, might get some votes.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. The way the Heisman works, I don't really know if he's going to necessarily get the true recognition he deserves because so often there's so much narrative around it, right? Is your team. Yes. We saw it here in South Bend with Manti Te'o back in 2012. It's not to take anything away from Manti. He had an amazing year defensively, but a huge part of why he had all that momentum going to New York was that they went undefeated. It was kind of a storybook season here. So with that in mind, you look at Notre Dame, you start 0-2. I think you put yourself behind the 8 ball as far as actually winning the Heisman. But there's no doubt in my mind. I think he's the best player in college football. I think the other guy with the case is Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. Interestingly, the 2 best players in college football, in my opinion, have the same name. They spell it slightly differently. But I just don't think when you watch college football, you can find anybody other than maybe Jeremiah Smith, if you want to have the debate, that is a more talented and capable football player than Jeremiah Love. And I know that we talk about his speed. He can run away from anybody. I've never seen anybody catch him in the open field. So I think he's the fastest player probably between the end zones in college football. Right. But if you watch him the way that we get to watch him day in and day out, the way he makes people miss and then the way he finishes, he's either going to make you miss or he's going to take you on. And he gets so many extra yards after contact. He is not a guy that when he's hit, he goes down or goes backwards. He puts his shoulder down and gets extra yards. And that's what I think has really endeared him to Notre Dame football fans, is just that you've got the complete package. There's really, I can't think of an area of his game in which he's deficient. So fans here are just soaking it in. I'm soaking it in, getting a chance to broadcast his games. It's really rare. Great players come through Notre Dame. We're spoiled in that regard. But at the end of the day, it's rare that you get a chance to watch and broadcast the best player in college football on a week in and week out basis. So I hope he's got some great moments for us in store at Pitt and the final few regular season games and hopefully postseason games as well. Whether or not he gets to the Heisman ceremony and possibly wins it, I certainly think he is deserving of the honor of best player in college football. How the voting all shakes out is another story, but he is put together an amazing career here, and we're just enjoying the final few weeks of this season here in 2025.
Tony, defensively, can Notre Dame, have they been improving throughout the season? Has that been a upward trend?
Yes, to say it in a word, for sure. They really did not play to their standard in the first two games against Miami and Texas A&M. I think they're giving up. I'm looking it up right now. more than 40 points per game, or no, right around 35, 36 points per game. But the game at home against Texas A&M, they gave up 41 at home. It's unlike,
Yes.
and that's when kind of the alarm bells were going off, at least with fans saying, hey, what happened here? This defense was maybe the best defense in the country last year. They didn't look terribly sharp against a not so good Purdue team the next week. And they really kind of made the flip after halftime when they looked a little bit better against Purdue. And since then, they've been outstanding. I mean, Chris Ash, the defensive coordinator, deserves a ton of credit, in my opinion, because of all the concern maybe the fan base had in the first 2 weeks. The way they've just completely turned it around, they look really like the defense we saw the last few years. They're allowing less than 12 points per game over the course of the last 5. And they've only allowed one team, USC, in the last 5 games to score more than one touchdown in a game. And that was kind of the MO with Al Golden, the former defensive coordinator who was here for the 3 years prior, is that not that he would let you score a touchdown, but you might score a touchdown, show him your cards, and then from that point forward, you were done scoring touchdowns. There were so few games which they allowed multiple touchdowns. And we're kind of seeing that again this year. So, whether or not it was picking up the scheme, there's, the defensive coordinator has to get used to his personnel. The personnel has to get used to the new defensive coordinator. I think maybe we as Notre Dame fans and people that broadcast were naive to think that right away they'd pick up where they left off, because it is a very talented defense. But there is always just a learning curve with everybody involved. And unfortunately for Notre Dame, they play maybe their 2 hardest opponents the first 2 weeks of the season. So there was no time to really get up to speed and make those adjustments on the fly. And so they deserve a ton of credit. The defense now leads the country in interceptions, at least going into the Navy game they did. They're taking it away. They're getting downfield. It's just really fun to watch. And I think they're going to be tested against Pittsburgh, and it'll be really fun to see how they handle one of the more talented teams on the back half of this schedule in a big spot on Saturday.
About a minute left, Tony. What's the fan satisfaction with Marcus Freeman?
Oh, it's through the roof. I think especially, and this is, I'll speak for the fans, I think, to the best of my ability here. The more you hear other coaches around the country talk about a variety of issues, the more you appreciate Marcus Freeman. He is a football coach through and through. He wants to coach football. He wants to talk to you about football. And he wants to win as many football games as he can as the coach of Notre Dame. And everything else, as he says, will take care of itself. And he doesn't get caught up in all the other stuff that we can all get caught up in college football.
Right.
And so refreshing. It's all about football. He loves the university. He's done an amazing job of really attracting young men that can benefit from the experience at Notre Dame. And he does not lose sight of the value of this education and the value of the opportunity to be here. So I've loved seeing him develop. I have a unique position where I get to talk to him so regularly. And just, I admire the way he's run this program and taken them to new heights on the field, while really still keeping it all in perspective as to what the real priorities should be for him, the staff, and all the young men that are on the team. So the fan base loves him. Getting to the title game last year was amazing. I think that everyone has confidence that they can and will get over that hump with him. And I just love watching him continue to evolve and grow and improve as a head coach.
Hey, Tony, we want to thank you so much. The voice of the Fighting Irish of the University of Notre Dame football, Tony Simeone. And we'll be right back after these messages with AP as we see it. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And we're back with AP as we see it, and we welcome a very special guest of ours, a friend of this show, DJ Jones, former University of Georgia quarterback, primarily defensive back, though, the national championship team, 1980. He is the host of the SportsVisions morning show. Hey, welcome, DJ. Welcome to AP as we see it.
Hey, top of the day to you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Like I tell you, I'm fighting some yellow jackets here, but you're familiar with that.
Yes, sir. We're not talking about Georgia Tech either.
That's right. But anyway, DJ, believe it or not, I tell people week to week that Georgia, I believe, is a team to beat in the SEC, even though they don't sit in the catbird seat as far as maybe getting to the championship at this moment. But there's a lot of footballs to be played. But I
Yeah,
just
you're
believe that
absolutely.
they know how to win. They know how to win.
They do. And again, obviously, their head coach, man, he's amazing. He's resilient, and he has those kids playing, out of their minds, man. They're playing like their hair's on fire.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just like the way that they can win with different styles as well.
I do. And it's a mature bunch. They're well conditioned mentally and physically because again, they're winning games in the second half, not coming out with as a lot of us want them to early on. But they're certainly they're packing a punch in the second half.
I think one of the most impressive facets of Georgia's game is Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback. When they call upon him, like he only threw 20 passes in the Alabama game because they were running the ball effectively, I guess. But he's a quarterback that I would put all my money down on him because he's clutch, I think.
Absolutely. And again, we've known and seen him over the last 4 or 5 weeks, but certainly in preseason and prior to that, you wouldn't have said anything. You wouldn't have betted any money on him. And again, obviously, what he's been able to do, he's the straw, in my opinion, that stirs that doggone Bulldog drink. He is amazing. He's been great.
Mm-hmm. Good 1-2 punch at the running backs. Was it Bowen and Frazier, right? Bowen and Frazier.
It is. That is.
And I like the way last year, every week I'd come on the show, Georgia 95th in rushing, Georgia 90th. And I couldn't believe I was making those statements. And I said to myself, there's no way Kirby Smart this year is going to be rated so low with the rush game. So they've been pretty successful.
I tell you what, Nate Frazier made a believe out of a lot of folks. Had the drops a little early on in his career and into the season. But whatever reason, he had Kirby's favor because he stayed with him and, of course, went down and rushed for 180 yards down in Stark Vegas last week. So Nate Frazier he's also made a believer out of a lot of people.
I think that win in Stark Vegas against Mississippi State, I was at the game, covered the game, the overtime versus Tennessee. They took Texas to overtime. Georgia just hammered them. So I think that's an excellent win. It doesn't look like it from the outside, but I saw Mississippi State up close take teams to the final wire, and so that was an impressive victory.
Yes, it was. It was. But again, that was one of those trap games, as you see, with Georgia playing Texas this week. And again, a lot of people thought that they would have been overlooking Mississippi State, but they went in. And again, Kirby is one of those guys, man. He doesn't let those guys, his team, rest on their laurels. He gets them up and excited and motivated, and he makes them think about and take on the task at hand. And they were ready to play in Starkville.
A lot of criticism of Mike Bobo through the years, but he utilizes the tight end, which I love because I always tell people that's the best matchup if you have an athletic tight end. The wide receivers, they had the drops last year. How has Zachariah Branch contributed to the success of the Bulldogs this year?
He's been fantastic. I tell you what, he's electric. He and Dylan Bell have been the two mainstays. But Zachariah Branch has been a true gift to the offensive football team as well as the special teams. He's a threat back there on punt returns and, of course, back on kickoff returns. But again, he and Dylan Bell both, they're two very well. I think that you just can put them as elite wide receivers, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was very impressive at USC. You saw that speed right away. It wasn't big, but dynamic, elusive, fast, quick, all those things that you put the fear in the defensive coordinator. It doesn't give him very much a good sleep at night. On the defensive side, who's played well, DJ, in your opinion, for Georgia?
Well, C.J. Allen, the linebacker, inside linebacker, he has been one of the catalysts over there. But they've had also great play out of Raylan Wilson. Dalen Everett in the secondary and K.J. Bolden both have been great, but up front, it starts there. They haven't been the Georgia Bulldog defense that we've seen in the previous years with all the great draft choices that are playing in the NFL now. Christian Miller is one of the leaders, and he and Jordan Hall are two top defensive linemen that have been really steady for the Georgia Bulldogs defense.
I always say that kickers, it's the day of the game, that kick that matters. How do you feel about Georgia's kicking game right now, DJ?
Well, Peyton Woodring has been, he's been consistent. I think that he has been, and again, that's one of the true positions in Georgia history, all the way back to my days with Kevin Butler and Rex Robinson. Georgia has always had an excellent kicker, and I don't think that it's any different this year with Woodring being a place kicker. And then, of course, on the punting side, Thorson has been actually very admirable.
DJ, looking at the Longhorns of Texas, you always start with the quarterback of any team, but Arch Manning, he seems to be playing better, getting more support from his teammates. So Georgia, they faced some good quarterbacks along the way. What's some of the concerns about playing Texas at home in Athens, Georgia?
Well, one thing about it, I'm just proud of Arch being able to play out of that funk and play through all the noise. Because again, I don't care how great of a season that Arch would have started with. The expectations have been just too big and too far to measure. So, but I think he, with a lot of maturity, he has handled that. But Georgia has to play their best game because believe it or not, Arch is a dual threat quarterback, and Kirby's defenses have had trouble, with dual threat quarterbacks. And again, that they have receivers, they have skilled players. If Arch can, do his thing, settle down, and if we don't come after him and force him to show his hand, it could be a long night.
They don't run the ball very well, so that might be a pretty good thing for Georgia's defense, make them one-dimensional possibly. I noticed the stats on Texas, 135 yards rushing per game, so that might help the defense. When you look at Kirby Smart, over the years, excellent coach. I don't think anyone will argue. Championships, national championships, SEC championships. I told everybody last year they had the most drops, couldn't run the ball. They played in the championship game, won the league. I mean, in spite of themselves, they won the league last year. I mean, that's how the amount of talent they have that they can overwhelm you. But when he's in some of these quote unquote bigger games, sometimes to me, he makes, I would say, in my opinion, strange decisions. But maybe he's learning like everybody else as a head coach.
I'll tell you what, Kirby is he's a talented coach. He's a guy that he, first of all, has a tremendous staff. When you made mention of Mike Bobo as his offensive coordinator, but Glenn Schumann is a very, very capable defensive coordinator as well, and has all the assistants. But Kirby has been through the wars, man. He has coached at every level. He's had an opportunity to be a part of some tremendous championship teams. He's got a great mentor in Nick Saban. And for the last, 9-10 years, he's been, just established himself as one of the great, if not the greatest in the game today. So, yeah, he's had a lot of confidence because he's had a lot of experience, a lot of practical knowledge that he's using right now. And he can recruit, but he can motivate unlike anybody that I've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever been to a practice or heard about practices with the microphone and that whole get up there. That's a whole psychological advantage that he has because he's putting his players on the spot. They're playing, it might not be 80, 90,000 in the stadium, but when Kirby's on the microphone, breaking down everything and making a call on, it don't care if he's across the field. He's coaching from wherever he is, and his players know that of course the coaches has his eyes on him, and I love what he's done.
Like all coaches and players, he's improving, and I think he's one of the top. We have this obsession in America by saying the best. I just say Kirby is excellent. That's what I would say. He's right in there in that excellent category. DJ, are you satisfied with Georgia's position in the college football playoff rankings at this point?
I think I am. There's a tremendous amount of talented teams in the SEC. Again, you got 5, 6, 7 teams in the top 12 or whatever that number is phenomenal. But we still got a lot of football to be played here over the next 2 or 3 weeks. This spectacular game on Saturday night in Athens between the hedges, it's going to tell a tale. But obviously, the other teams that are in front of Georgia, when you talk about Alabama, you talk about Texas A&M, they all have a tremendous schedule to finish out, and they got to finish the drill. Still, again, you can't. We can sit here and speculate, but the bottom line is there's some damn good footballs left to play to settle this thing.
Absolutely, and they have to play the rival, the Georgia Tech, at the end of the year. And last year, we know that was not much fun.
Whoever heard of 8 playoffs? I mean, 8 overtime series. I mean, goodness gracious.
Oh yeah. Hey DJ, how can folks find you? Actually, we're on the radio weekdays from 6 a.m.
to 9 p.m. on, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the SportsVisions Radio Network. That's SportsVisions 92.1. You can go on Facebook and then go to our Facebook page or catch us on YouTube as well. Or you can just talk to your smart speaker and say, hey, I want to hear SportsVisions Radio in the morning with DJ Jones or SportsVisions 92.1. It's a million ways now. There's so many different ways out here now. It's unheard of. We don't just, it's not like when you and I were coming up with just the old radio in the car, man.
Right. A lot of options. We love options in life, correct, DJ? Right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
But hey, our guest, special guest, DJ Jones of the SportsVisions Morning Show. Thank you so much. And we'll be right back after these messages with AP as we see it. Thank you, DJ.
Thank you, man.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP as we see it, and we'd like to thank our two guests, Tony Simeone, the voice of the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team, and our second guest, DJ Jones, the host of the SportsVisions morning show. DJ, former player at the University of Georgia, defensive back, primarily on that national championship team, 1980. He started out as a quarterback and became a defensive back. But Tony Simeone, outstanding broadcaster for the Fighting Irish. We ran into Tony at the USC game up at South Bend, and so we're fortunate that he wanted to come back on our show, and we really appreciate it. We thank our guest as well. We're going to get into game number 4 here, Oklahoma at Alabama. Big ball game, one of the best ones across the country right now. Oklahoma is in the poll, as we mentioned. Alabama number 4, Oklahoma, I believe, number 11, if we just look at that right quick. Oklahoma number 11 in the college football playoff rankings. That's right. But Oklahoma's a team that John Mateer, good quarterback. He has a tendency to make some mistakes, but they're playing for their lives, trying to beat Alabama. They have a couple losses, 7-2. They had a bye last week, 7-2 overall, 3-2 in the conference. Alabama 8-1, 6-0. They're on a roll, winning all their ball games within the conference. Beat LSU in a tough ball game, 20-9. It's an interesting fact about this series. Alabama has won twice against them. They're 4-2-1 is that series. Their one tie was the After Blue Bonnet Bowl in 1970. But Alabama has won 2 bowl games against them, the Orange Bowl, way back in the 1962 Alabama team, and then recently in the playoffs. But they've never won a regular season game against Oklahoma. Alabama averaging 33 points a game, Oklahoma 29. Defensively, Alabama, they're playing fairly well on defense now, number 56 in the country, but it all depends on the matchups. I mean, I don't know if those numbers only the coaches know if they're really improving, I think, because it's a different matchup every week. Oklahoma 70, Alabama 56 in offense, 56 in offense, 18th in defense, actually. Oklahoma number 7 in defense, but we know they've had their lapses in some of those games, some high point production by certain teams, especially Tennessee. But Oklahoma has a good defense. Alabama is 18th in the country, as I mentioned. Oklahoma 77th in offense. Alabama 56. They're giving up 14 points a game, the Sooners. Alabama, the Crimson Tide, giving up 17. So this should be a pretty good ball game. Alabama is favored by 6.5 points. I think they're going to be very tough to beat at home, Alabama. But like I said, Oklahoma is playing for their college football playoff lives. So it'll be very competitive. And I see a game probably, I guess it'd be in the 20s, I would say. Both teams have capable quarterbacks and good offensive systems. And as I said, Oklahoma can play some strong defense and get after you. They're the number one in tackles for loss, 10.8 a game, and sacks are number 3 at 3.67. Alabama, 67th in sacks and 56 in tackles for loss. So I just think it'll be a really competitive game. One of the bigger games, better games, not only in the Southeastern Conference, but across the country as well. The next ball game, we're going to move on. New Mexico State. They're 3-6, 1-5 in the conference. They're playing. They lost to Kennesaw State 24-21. They're traveling to Knoxville to play Tennessee. About a 40-point favorite. Tennessee 6-3, 3-3 in the conference. They had a bye last week, so Tennessee, we know they average a lot of points, 43. New Mexico State 21. Defensively, New Mexico State is 95th in defense. They're 107 in pass defense, and we know that Tennessee is number 2 in passing in the country. So that 40-point number is probably justified with the Volunteers as the favorite. Tennessee gives up 31 points a game. That's really their Achilles, I think, because they have a good football team offensively with Joey Aguilar and Josh Heupel, and they have an outstanding core of receivers. New Mexico State gives up 25 points a game. They only score 21 points a game. So we'll move on from that one. That's just a tune-up for Tennessee. They're trying to stay healthy and keep some playoff hopes alive, which I think is I don't think they have a chance, really. But anyway, Game 6, we're looking at Florida. This was strange. I can't figure this Florida team. I can't figure them all. 1 minute they can beat Kentucky. I mean, 1 minute they can beat Texas. I'm looking at the game. They beat Kentucky. 1 minute they can beat Texas. And the next minute, they can't beat Kentucky and Lexington. Lost 38-7. Wasn't even close. Just an atrocious performance by the Gators, who have the interim coach Billy Gonzalez. Florida 2-4 in the conference, 3-6. They just roller coaster ride. This series and they're playing Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 9-1, 5-1 in the conference. They beat the Citadel 49-0. Ole Miss is number 7 in the college football playoff rankings, 14.5-point favorite. This series, actually, Florida favors 13-12-1. Ole Miss scoring 37 points a game, giving up 19. Florida scoring at 20, giving up 22 points a game. But I can't understand a team. 1 minute you're playing Georgia to 4 points. You're beating Texas. The next time you're playing Kentucky, who has trouble all year with their offense, and they put 38 points on you and you score 7. So DJ Lagley, we always mention he's the quarterback of Florida. If he was going to play well this season, then Florida would have a good year. But he's been up and down, throwing quite a few interceptions, and they've been disjointed offensively, and I guess the defense is just worn out. But 38-7 loss on the road last week in Lexington to Kentucky. It's very it's befuddling to try to understand a team like Florida. Have some talent, and they've shown that they can compete, but they're not consistent. I guess that's the word. They're just not a consistent football team. And that's when you end up with these bad records and coaches get fired. And that's one of the hardest things that I've spoken to coaches over the years. Can I get my team to play consistently and with intensity week to week? That's the most difficult task for every head coach. And that's what I've learned through the years by speaking to coaches and assistant coaches and athletic directors and players. It's 1 week you can beat the best team in your conference, and next team you can lose to the bottom feeder. So I can't understand it, but that's the way it is. So anyway, we look at the next game. This is the other big game within the conference. Texas is fighting for their playoff life, 7-2, 4-1. They're number 10 in the college football playoff rankings, had the bye. They're playing at Georgia, Athens, Georgia. Georgia's a 6-point favorite, 8-1 overall, 6-1 in the conference. Georgia, now this was, you might not think so, but this was an impressive victory at Mississippi State, 41-21 in Starkville, because I was there when Tennessee went to overtime against Mississippi State, and then Texas had to go to overtime and was behind by double digits, 17 points, and came back to win. But this series favors Texas 4-3. Georgia averaging 33 points a game, giving up 19. Texas averaging 29, giving up 16 points a game. The sacks, Texas has some pretty good numbers defensively, 22 in the country. Georgia is at 20. So two pretty good defensive teams, but they can give up the points, as we've seen in these ball games. But I always said that Georgia is a team that I believe is in the best position, because if they win out and Texas A&M does as well, and Alabama, you'll see Alabama and Texas A&M in the SEC championship, and Georgia can relax. He'll work on their opponent in the college football playoff. So I think Georgia is in a very good position. Their fans might not like it, the fact that they're not playing in the SEC championship, but I think the coaching staff, if you spoke to them privately, they're probably pretty happy. But some coaches like to keep the momentum of their team. Now, Georgia ends up the year against Georgia Tech. That'll be a tough game, because Georgia Tech is trying to earn a berth in the college football playoff as well. But this is a great ball game in the SEC. Two prominent programs in the last few years. Georgia has won some titles, and Texas have been able to reach the playoffs under Steve Sarkisian. Of course, Kirby Smart, one of the better coaches in the country. And I will admit, as I told DJ, he makes some unusual calls in these very competitive games against ranked teams that I don't understand, but that's fine. He knows more about football myself. So, but Texas and Georgia, I know a lot of people are going to be watching that ball game. We're going to look at the 8th game. We have Mississippi State 5-5, 1-5 in the conference at Mizzou. Mizzou is 7-point favorite, 6-3, 2-3 in the conference. This series, Mizzou favors 3-2. They lost to Texas A&M at home, 38-17. They had their freshman quarterback. So that didn't help them, I guess. But defensively, they just fell apart. Missouri had a pretty good defensive team, 10th in the country, but they gave up the 38 points. Marcel Reed is an excellent ball player. Mississippi State scores 32 points a game, allows 26. Missouri 33, and allows just 19. So we'll see what happens, but I think Mizzou probably win this ball game. Just want to mention a couple of things right quick. Heisman Trophy candidates from the SEC. Right now, I think it's 4 quarterbacks. Ty Simpson, not in any order. Gunnar Stockton, Diego Pavia, and Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed, Texas A&M. Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt. Gunnar Stockton, Georgia. Ty Simpson, Alabama. So we want to thank you for listening to another episode of AP as we see it. And remember our sponsors, Greer's Markets, Dr. Jason Northcutt, Robertsdale Dental Care, and the Cortland Grand Hotel of Atlanta. And we'll see you next week with another episode of AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.